Hello, friends. So we're at the house. We are in Pennsylvania, and I am with a new friend, and I think I'm going to try to say hello to all our friends so you get to meet them, we get to meet them. I get to share this amazing group of people with y'all out there. So I don't want to even call this an Everyday Hero interview, but we'll see. I'll call it a mini interview for now, and we'll decide based on the conversation how long this goes. So thank you very much for coming, joining. I appreciate it. Why don't you tell me and the people, who are you?
My name's Deanna.
She's in vet school. That's what we're going to tell her.
I'm going into vet school.
She's going into vet school. Deanna, so this is a great vacation. I was worried it was going to rain all weekend.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice out right now. So that's why we're doing this outside. You got to soak up the sun. Okay. So we did this. We had this conversation already, but I had to persuade her, try to get her on camera. So we're going to do a mini version of the conversation we already had. Where are you from?
I'm from Middlefield, Connecticut.
Middlefield, Connecticut. And tell the people how many people live in Middlefield, Connecticut.
Probably a little over 4,000.
Yeah, so nobody. It's her and the family. Okay, so you're from Middlefield, Connecticut. You went to UConn, and that's how you know the crew, and that's why you're here. So you went to UConn. Why did you decide, Deanna? Why did you decide? When did you decide, and why vet? Why becoming a veterinarian?
I wanted to be a vet since I was about 11.
Okay.
I had gotten my horse a few months prior, and he developed...
You have a horse?
He has since passed away, but yes,
sorry.
I have horses.
You have horses?
I do.
That's amazing. Do we have pictures of these horses?
I do.
All right, she's gonna send me some of these pics. They're gonna be somewhere around here. That's fucking amazing.
Thank
All right,
you.
how many do you currently have right now?
We currently have 4.
You have 4. Is one of them yours or all of them yours?
So long story short, the horse that I got when I was 11, he was diagnosed with lymphoma last year.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. He passed away in September, but shortly after his diagnosis, I rescued 2 foals.
Ooh, I don't know what that means. What's a foal?
Foals are baby horses.
Oh, there we go.
So
nice to know.
They were orphaned because foals are supposed to be with their mom until about 4 to 6 months of age. And when I got the boy, he was 4 weeks old, and the girl was 7 weeks old.
Wow.
So we didn't have to bottle feed them, but they had to drink formula from a bucket until they were of appropriate age for other food.
So fun fact, I've actually interviewed on the show a horse trainer. You guys should actually, it's like someone who trains horses and someone who does, horse riding lessons for young kids. You guys should most definitely go check that out. But what I keep forgetting is, what is the average lifespan of a horse? Do they live long, or is it like 20 and then they die?
They can live into their 30s.
Okay, 30s. Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes even 40s. It depends on the individual.
That's really good. Oh yeah, fun fact. Maybe, but I don't know if this is the reason. But you're also vegetarian.
Yeah.
Up top, girl. Smart lady. She's a vegetarian. You're gonna be a vet in the healthcare field. Good human being. All right. So I cut you off to ask you that question, but how and why? So you had a horse when you were little, and then?
So he developed a corneal ulcer. So I had to treat that with my mom, and it was a horrible experience.
Oh, no.
He was extremely resistant to the treatment, but ultimately...
What was the treatment?
Eye drops every 2 hours, essentially.
Jesus Christ.
But so you have this big horse who...
Every 2 hours?
Is once again resistant to treatment, so he squeezed his eyes shut and lifted up his head every time we went even close to him with the bottle.
And this is a horse we're talking about, not a dog. So you guys were like... Yeah. You had to get up there, you had to hold it. That's a process.
Yeah, it was a big process. But ultimately we got him through it.
Congratulations, good for you. What was his name?
Bronson.
Bronson! That's a great horse name. Yeah. Yes, okay. You got through?
We got him through it, and despite it being horrible, I was like, wow, it sucks to go through this as the owner, but it also feels great once you're through it and your pet is so much better.
Yes.
And being able to help people through that is what initially made me want to become a vet. And then through different experiences since then, I've just realized how important animals are to people and how much you can help both the people and the animals through veterinary medicine. So
I come from Africa. I come from South Africa, to be specific. And I have to say, when I came over here, there was a humongous culture shock to me, because in South Africa, this is anecdotal, and it's obviously not, facts, but this is just my personal experience, and that's what I'm going off of. And in South Africa, no one had dogs in the house. No one had, pets and cats and hamsters. And I mean, that wasn't like a thing. Like when people had dogs, but they had an outhouse. Didn't matter rain, shine, hail, snow. The dogs were in the outhouse. No dogs were licking off plates. No cuddling in the bed. When people had animals around, horses and such, it was very functional. There was no, I love my pet, so I'm going to hold it to death. And like I said, I left there when I was 6. It's anecdotal, but that is my experience. Coming to America and seeing the amount of love people had for animals was just like, I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. How is this even a thing? As my time being in America, I get it. I mean, I am knee deep ready to get a dog. I need it. Like, animals are just, the reason they're so great is because they're just they're innocent. There is there's no biases. They love who they love because you treat them right. They hate you because you treat them wrong. It's very clear cut. There's no bullshit that you got to deal with, and they're animals. That's great. So that happened. And how old were you when we were doing this corneal treatment?
11.
11 years old. You decided then that was like in your mind, I'm going to be a vet at 11.
I mean, lots of young
of course
kids, particularly girls usually, because it's a female-dominated field.
Is it really? Did not know that.
It has transitioned to be that over the past 20 years probably.
Yes.
But at that point, that was what I wanted to do, and I realized that it would be a tough track to follow, but I still wanted to pursue it. And now I'm here.
Now you're here. Okay, so because now you just graduated from UConn, you're finally going to vet school starting this
August.
This August? Ooh.
Oh, this month.
This month. My God. I hope you're ready.
Yeah.
Shit's
I hope
coming.
so too.
Shit's coming. So you go into vet school this August. I do want you to, I call this the Everyday Hero Show. I do want you to tell the people out there the process between, what was your major in college?
Animal science.
Animal science. All right. So is that a necessity for getting into vet school, or can you do anything like med school?
And similar to med school, you can follow any major. You just have to take the necessary prerequisite courses and then go through the application process.
But animal science is probably the best way to go about it.
Animal science was definitely for me. I mean, there were other options at UConn, but that's the one that I felt connected to the most.
And it's really smart that you did that, because it tells me that going into college you knew what you wanted, not just like, oh, I'll see, maybe, let me taste, let me test. You knew what you want, you got into it, and now you're moving forward. So tell us the process, because you were just telling me earlier how difficult the process is between graduating with your undergrad and then getting into vet schools. And I also know very much like dental school, my cousin's becoming a dentist, vet school, there aren't that many of them.
Right.
So what was that process like?
So the application process itself is pretty extensive. I started the application is due in September every year, and they open it up in May. So I probably started it at the end of May, beginning of June.
Okay.
So you have a variety of generic essays to write that will go to all of the programs. You have to take the GRE. You have to write supplemental essays for different programs depending on what they are.
Which always blows. That's the worst part for me.
Yeah. It was pretty tough, but luckily I had a lot of people who would help me with reviewing everything and revising it.
Do you know the number of vet schools in at least New England area that's close to home?
Oh, close to home, there's Tufts in Massachusetts, which I didn't really have an interest in going to for personal reasons, and then there's Cornell in New York.
Okay.
And University of Pennsylvania, and all of those weren't on my list.
Okay. And where are you going, if you don't mind?
University of Prince Edward Island,
which is
Canada.
In Canada. Yes.
Canada.
So the healthcare in Canada is something I am jealous of as a nurse, but I don't know what the vet school system, healthcare system for vets, for animals over there is. So you did all of that, the interview process, you got her there. What are you most afraid of, and what are you most excited about going into vet school?
Definitely most afraid of failing.
No, of course. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Yes, that is a scary thing. I know, like, med school is very different than law school, and like med school, it's very, very, very difficult to get in, but once you get in, like, there's not a lot of people that drop out because they make it so hard to get in. So it's always like an 80-75% passing rate, where at law school, it's very much like you can just apply, get in, once you get in, and then it's like 90% of the people fail and 10% 100% make it.
I didn't know
Which
that.
one is like vet?
I would say vet is more closely related to med school.
So the people who get in have
Yeah.
worked their ass off. They're not fucking around.
For the most part. I mean, there will be the individuals who don't make it for whatever
Oh, of
reason.
course, there's always.
But they're always given a chance. I think at every program, the United States and Canada, like, will give you one chance to redo.
Probation, whatever. It just makes
So
sense.
if you fail out of a class first year, you can retake it your second year or be held back or something of that nature.
Okay. So do you have any experience with a veterinarian?
Oh, yeah.
Like working, not like taking your pets.
So that's one thing that is significantly different between med school applicants and vet school applicants is that vet school applicants will have had prior experience in the field, whether that's with research or clinical diagnostic experience, anything like that. And one of the schools I got into, they had a minimal requirement of 400 hours of veterinary experience.
400 hours
400
minimum?
Minimal. Which it really isn't that bad because you look at PA school and it's, 2,500, something crazy high like that.
400. How many? So what did you do? How did you get those hours?
So for nearly the past 3 years, I've been working as a tech in a companion animal hospital.
Good for you.
And then at UConn, I was so lucky to have had the experience in the diagnostic lab in the necropsy unit, which was awesome. And then I did some research. I did some large animal veterinary shadowing.
So you were actually in a veterinary hospital.
Yeah.
You
So it's
were
like
in
a
an animal
nurse
hospital.
for dogs and cats. Yeah.
So you were in an animal hospital for 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what the day in and day out is, right? So I need to ask, vets, is it like I'm a vet, but I'm only a vet for chickens and dogs and horses? Or if you're a vet for every animal?
Well,
Or is it like the sea's different versus like land animals versus like birds? Like how? Because I feel like learning to treat every animal in the world is impossible.
so that's what's kind of cool about vet school is you go in and you learn about everything. So you come out, and once you're certified and licensed, you're qualified technically to do any of the above.
Any of the
Any
above.
of the above. However, most of the time that's going to require some type of additional training, whether it's an internship, residency, fellowship, whatever. And most of veterinarians will specialize, not specialize as in board certified, but specialize as in like equine only or dogs and cats only.
Okay.
Bovine, so on and so forth.
And then, like, is it like the same as like you can like? Because I don't even know. I've never even put a foot in an animal hospital. Are they like humongous hospitals, like people hospitals, or is it like very small? Like you get one client, it's only
It depends on where you work because they'll have more small town clinics and then larger scale hospitals.
Right now, you're in
I would say a medium size.
Okay.
There are 7 doctors, probably like 15 techs, and we do have a pretty heavy caseload coming in and out. We have specialists that will come in for ultrasonography or surgery, and then of course the doctors
animal
I work
surgery.
with. Yeah,
That's badass as fuck.
so that's more. This guy who comes in, it's more in the more intense orthopedic stuff, for instance.
Would you? Is that extra school? Would you do
Yeah.
surgery?
So would I do surgery?
Yeah. Is that something you're
I
thinking
would
about?
consider specializing. I don't know if I would consider specializing in surgery.
Okay. All right. So the obvious question is: we're talking about specialized. We're talking about certain hospitals have, or certain doctors have specialties or like just focuses that they have. What do you think or see yourself focusing on if you even are going to focus? What kinds of animals do you think? Horses, I'm guessing, maybe.
I was definitely most interested in horses, but working in the companion animal hospital I found I really like working with dogs, and feline medicine is really interesting as well.
Yes. I feel like if you're going to work in the States as a vet, you have to do the pets. I mean, you have to do pets because outside of pets, no one is bringing in stray animals into animal hospitals, right? They'll get a call, 911, there's a shot deer or a deer that broke his leg, then they get taken. But outside of that, everything else is just like you're not going to go into the wilderness to treat bears.
Right. But you can also work with those wild type animals in a zoo setting.
I forgot about zoos.
So there's, like, if you want to do aquatics, you can work in an aquarium.
Can we just pause right now? Because I have this chip on my shoulder. I hate the concept of zoos and aquariums. As a vegan, I
Yes,
mean, like,
as a vegan.
even before I became a vegan, even as a child, like, I remember as a kid walking into the zoo, seeing these cages, looking at the animals and thinking, cool for 5 seconds, and then the rest of the time, like, fuck.
What are they doing there?
Like, that's the thing, because, like, you'd walk throughout the zoo and come back, and the animal is still sleeping because they got nothing to do. They have, like a 40-foot thick cage, and they're like, all right, this is your life. Your entire life. And like tigers were meant to be in the freaking Amazon, like the jungle, all of these crazy animals, and they're just in this box for us to just walk by and look at. I've always thought and hated it. As a vet, what are your thoughts on zoos and aquariums?
I'm not a huge fan, but it's also like not every vet student is going to be vegan or vegetarian.
Oh,
There are
of course.
quite a few
of
who
course.
are and who are against it, but there are plenty who
Don't mind it
don't
or
mind
enjoy.
it and want to be in those zoo or aquarium settings.
And I do understand, like, I just have to put it out there, I do understand when animals are endangered, we have to treat them. We can't leave them in the wild. It doesn't make any sense for us to drive into, like, the meadows of wherever to go treat an animal, come back, go back, come back, go back. So, yes, it makes sense to keep them. It makes sense to have that. But, like, I'm thinking, like, of a sanctuary versus, like, of a zoo.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, yeah, and, like, I love safaris. Safaris, to me, make sense. That is what it should be. When you go into a safari, it sucks. Yeah, if you live in the States, you're not going to ever see a lion, but you go into a car and then you go see them in their place of happiness versus we bring them to fucking Boston, Massachusetts, surrounded by fucking tall buildings. They're like, what am I doing here? All right, so thank you. I do appreciate it. This was perfect, absolutely perfect. Dee. So I want you, like I said, I call it the Everyday Hero Show. First of all, plug away. Where do you want people to find you? Instagram, social. Do you even care for that stuff?
I don't care for it that much,
Okay,
to be honest.
don't worry, but I am going to have an Instagram thing right there, so you guys could go check her out. Do you have any animal pics on your Insta?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to check out all the animal pics, check out the horses that I will also post. But last question, we're turning up today.
We're turning up
today. We're getting wild today.
We're getting
wild. Uzi, you hear that, motherfucker? We're turning up. Don't give me that bullshit. Thank you, Dee. I love it.
Thank you.